Welcome, Pulling fans, all those Outlaw Nation fans out there chomping at the bit for the first weekend of Pulling this year. 10 days, right around the corner here, Ravenna, Nebraska, the 6th and 7th of June. Going to kick it off. And for all the pullers out there watching, the app is open for signups. So if you're pulling in Ravenna, go ahead and pull up the app there on your phone and get signed in so we know you're coming. This first pull would generally that's open a week before, but of course we're 10 days out. There's no other hooks before, so that app is open for signups. So get signed in. Of course, that first weekend of June, there in Ravenna, 9 of the 10 classes in the whole Organics Midwest Summer Sweep pulling there in Ravenna. Super exciting time. New sponsor, Wiffles Hybrids, seed corn. We had Trista on last week. They've got some exciting stuff coming up. They're going to do some promotions at the events for the pullers as well. And also the whole Organics Midwest mini sweep here, the tri-state trifecta, 3 states there, Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri. Cambridge, Illinois, and Donaldson, Iowa, those 2 pulls back-to-back that third weekend of June. And then July 18th, Montgomery City, Missouri. 5 classes. Modified 4-wheel drives, limited pro stock mod tractors, pro stock tractors, and super mod 2-wheel drives, all competing in that mini sweep. And now remember, you don't have to be a member to be in the mini sweep. You do have to be an Outlaw member to be in the summer sweep, but the mini sweep, you do not have to be an Outlaw member. Of course, you do have to abide by all Outlaw safety rules per the rule book. But super exciting things coming from our sponsors here with the Outlaws this year, Whole Organics Midwest. Been an incredible sponsor. We're going to have hopefully Adam Summerlot on next week's show to talk about the new Case IH giveaway contest for 2025. Super cool to give away that awesome tractor last year. We had a ton of entries from 49 different states in the union, and we're hoping to hit all 50 of them this year. We want to blow that thing out and get that tractor given away. We've got a lot of people coming in and commenting already. People chomping at the bit. Over the 10 days waiting period to get to the first pull of the season. Dick Blankspore, of course, he's the first one in, commented at 7:02, watching from Inwood, Iowa. Thanks, Mr. Blankspore, for watching. Thomas Newharth checking in as well. Robert Miner checking in from Niobrara, Nebraska. Ben Beller from Southeast Kansas, down there in Howard, Kansas. Thanks for checking in, representing the Sunflower State. Tina and Eric Berger checking in from Wilbur, Nebraska, said they will be in Ravenna. You guys remember, come up and say hi when you see us out there. Cole Lundahl watching from Wakefield, Nebraska. I am assuming, Cole, that you will be in Ravenna, Nebraska. That goes without saying. Mark Wills watching from Schluterland there in Carrollton, Missouri. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Going to be a great show. Of course, we're going to be talking about the countdown here to pull time, as well as bringing on a special guest tonight. Here in just a little bit, we're going to bring on Curt Ulmer, a veteran puller, and we've got some pretty cool pictures to show of the old Sweet Pain, the mini iterations of Sweet Pain. Jim Schwartzman watching from Tonganoxie, Kansas. Thanks for watching, Jim. Kristen Beller watching from Kansas as well. A lot of Kansas watchers tonight. Mark J. Ham from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Terry Burgett from Chapel Hill, Tennessee, checking in. Jason Grout, can't wait to get back working with the NSPA next weekend. Of course, the NSPA, their first pull next weekend as well. The 6th or the 7th. I need to find that schedule. But yeah, the NSPA Heartland Group, they'll be kicking off their season right there beside us. Yeah, 6th and 7th for us. And then as soon as I find that NSPA schedule, I'll just put it up on the screen here as soon as I find it. Austin Flute watching from Larchwood, Iowa. Kevin Davis from Wayne, Nebraska watching. Wow, a lot of people checking in already. How was your weekend? Hope everyone had a great holiday weekend. Of course, the reason for the season, paying tribute, paying homage to those who paid the ultimate price for representing the United States our country, our residents of our country, and their freedoms. That's what it's all about. And hope everyone got out to see their loved ones at their grave sites, those who served for the United States. Roger Rui, the Rue Crew, 10 days and counting. Of course, Roger Rui, a VP Racing Fuels dealer now. So if you need any racing fuel, you're up there in the area of Herman, Nebraska, give Roger Rui a call. Terry out of Chapel Hill, North Carolina, getting anxious for their home pull down there. Jason Kraut, June the 7th. Thanks, Jason. June the 7th in Keensburg, Colorado, the first NSPA Heartland hook. Markham editing photos from the weekend. Chris Pierce checking in. Yeah, Mark, I saw you got to go do a little drag racing action there, like a first time kind of deal. First time for Nitro. How was that? That's an experience if you've never been to a big drag racing event where they have Nitro cars there. Pretty unforgettable experience. So once again, hope everyone had a great weekend. We're going to jump right in here. The app is open. Pullers, the app is open for Ravenna, Nebraska. If you're pulling in Ravenna on the 6th and 7th of June, go ahead and jump on the app. You do not have to be a member to sign up for the pull on the app. But when you go on the app, I know some people find this a little confusing. It actually was for me a few years ago when I checked it out. Now, this goes for NSPA Heartland as well. NSPA Heartland, you have a section on the app as well. Just go to the app, click on events. I'm not sure if you can see that. My green screen is probably preventing it. Click on events and click on June 6th in Ravenna, Nebraska. And once you get to that screen, so you can see it here, it's not wanting to show up. You scroll to the bottom and it says driver entry. Click on driver entry. It'll ask you right away if you're a member or not a member. Click whichever one applies to you. Then it'll ask you what class. And it'll give you the choice of classes there that are going to be at Ravenna. You pick your class. Driver information. First name, last name, your phone number, vehicle information as well. Then it'll do a review and then submit. Like I said, you do not have to be a member. It does ask you that question. So it'd be cool to see some new faces and some old friends getting signed up there on the app. Mark Ham says it's not 3 Chevys, but Nitro is amazing. I agree. Both amazing in their own way. Case Conover, representing Texas, says he's ready for Whitewright. He's ready for Whitewright, Texas. We got to wait a few more weeks after Ravenna to get to Whitewright. That's the last weekend in June. That's going to be a huge show down there, Case. I hope you're going to that pull. So how many people are going to Ravenna? Folks that are in the chat right now, how many of y'all are going to Ravenna, Nebraska? We want to see a show of hands here. I know some things we talked about last week on the show was the Organics Midwest Summer Sweep. And I just wanted to review those classes here. The entire schedule here on this graphic, all of these have been shared on social media, on Facebook, shared around social media. That's the full schedule, 18 cities, 10 classes, $80,000 to be given out this year. Big thanks to Organics Midwest. Then we go to the individual class schedules. These also have been shared around on social media. Pro Stock 4x4. As you can see, every class has 10 hooks. Some of those are at an event like Ravenna, Rock Valley, and Wisner, where there was 2 hooks at those particular events. Those hooks do count, but on a 2-session event like Ravenna, Rock Valley, or Wisner, your total points will be averaged. So if you finish first on session 1 and third on session 2, you add those together, divide them by 2, and you'll get 2. So a first and a third will get you a 2. That'll be your point value represented moving forward, and added into the total. So 10 total hooks, and that's Pro Stock 4 before there. That one kicks off in Ravenna. The only class not kicking off in the sweep in Ravenna is 540 Light Pro. And there's the 540 Light Pro schedule. They kick their sweep off in Rock Valley. 2 hooks there in Rock Valley at Thursday and Saturday for the 540 Light Pro in Rock Valley. And that goes through Bedford. So that's a pretty long one for them to start in July, go through September. Some of the others a little shorter, going through June to August. And we'll show some examples of that in a minute. Modified tractors kicks off in Ravenna. They'll also be in Donaldson. Now, Donaldson, the mini sweeps going on in Donaldson as well. So modified tractors, if you're a modified tractor driver or team out there, 3 different ways you can win. You can run for the points, the Case IH Outlaw Thunder in the dirt points. You can run for the Organics Midwest Summer Sweep points. You can do the mini sweep out there, or you can do all 3. None of them conflict with each other, so you can run for all 3. If you're running for points, then you're automatically in and going to be running for all 3. Just don't miss any of those hooks out there. Light Superstock Ag starts in Ravenna as well and runs through the Iowa State Fair. Pro Stock 10,000 pound 5.0 Pro starts in Ravenna, ends in Unionville. You see the hooks there. Ravenna is a 2-day hook. Wisner a 2-day hook there. They'll also be at the Iowa State Fair. Light Superstock, the Alki Supers, starts in Ravenna, ends in Buckner in September for the Light Superstocks. Limited Pros, the 4-1 starts in Ravenna, ends in Wisner. Starts with a 2-day hook, ends with a 2-day hook. Starts in Nebraska, ends in Nebraska as well. Super Farm starts in Ravenna, ends in Wisner. That one also starts in Nebraska and ends in Nebraska. Super Modified 2-wheel drives start in Ravenna and will end that series September 5th in Unionville, Missouri, the Putnam County Fair in Unionville. And of course, the Tri-State Trifecta, pretty cool deal the whole Organics Midwest came up with here in their meeting. And they wanted to reach out to some of those Illinois tractors, some of those pullers that may not pull with the Outlaws on a regular basis. We want to give them a taste of outlaw pulling. And of course, one of the classes not included in the summer sweep is included in the trifecta, the modified 4-wheel drives. If you have a modified 4-wheel drive, you want to make these 3 hooks. You'll not only be pulling for prize money at the event, but if you make all 3 of these hooks and you finish in the top 5, you're going to get an extra check from Organics Midwest through the Tri-State Trifecta. And of course, huge thanks to Wyffels Hybrids, seed corn company out of Illinois. We'll be right there in their neighborhood when we'll be in Cambridge, Illinois, that 3rd weekend of June, just down the road from where Wyffels Hybrids began. Everything began for them there. So they've got some pretty cool things that we're going to be announcing here in the next couple of weeks as well. We'll get all the details to that, and you all will be the first to know. Going back to our comments here. Case Conover watching from Lytle, Texas. Ready for white ride, he says. Chris Pierce says, depends on work schedule. Yeah, work harder, Chris. Get up earlier, work harder, get that stuff done so you can get out there to the pool. We want to see you out there in Ravenna. Chris Kilbarger says, can't stay elbow deep in plumbing. Better you than me, Chris. That sounds like fun. You know, you can always listen to us later. We'll be on YouTube. And also, I don't know if I mentioned this last week or not, we are now on Spotify. So if you miss Outlawed Live, or you want to go back and listen on, you may not have got to hear the whole thing, you can actually go back and watch it, listen to it on Spotify now. We are on Spotify, so pretty cool deal. We're going mainstream here with Outlawed Live. So looking for a couple things here. Bear with me. I just want to show some of the flyers that are out there on social media. Of course, Thunder in the Valley. 3 nights, 3 different sessions, Thursday, Friday, Saturday this year. More camping ground there for folks that want to go camping, bring their campers. It is primitive camping, so make sure you fill up your water tank and make sure those gray and black tanks are already empty. Bring your generator. But yes, they do have camping in a new area there that's even closer to the track, closer to the pullers. And some pretty cool things going on Saturday in town as well. So Rock Valley going to be a big deal, even bigger deal this year than it has in the past, which is a pretty big deal. There's the Saturday I was talking about there for Thunder in the Valley, downtown street market. I need to pull that clip down right there. There we go. And then you got Thunder at the fair. We're going to keep hyping on this. Back at the South Dakota State Fair. Labor Day weekend. That's a Monday hook there. Yeah, great to be back there. Haven't pulled there since 2019. They're in the COVID era. This is the Midwest Summer Nationals in Freeport, Illinois. We've posted the rules for this particular event. We're only having the modified tractors there this year at Freeport, Illinois. The Stevenson County Fair. You can check them out at their website, stevensoncountyfair.org. They are doing what's called a jackpot. Now, this is separate from the payout. It's already double payout for the event for the modified tractors, 7,400-pound modified tractors. But there is an optional jackpot, which if you pay into that jackpot, I think it's $2,200. If 30 tractors sign up, now that's, are they going to get 30 tractors? Who knows? I mean, with that kind of payout, I've heard there's a lot going. Could be 30 tractors, it's 30,000 to win. 20 tractors, it's 20,000 to win. 10 tractors, I believe the same deal, 10,000 to win. Those rules are posted on outlawpulling.com. So pretty cool deal there. Lots of money to be won there at that pull in Freeport, Illinois. First time being there for us this year. Smoking on the Prairie, the Henry County Fair, also there in Illinois. This one is in June. June the 20th, Friday night there in Cambridge, Iowa. And of course, Ravenna coming up next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend. There's the pull flyer there. Pretty cool deal. Getting anxious. Can't wait to get out there and start smelling some diesel smoke and some methanol fumes and hear the crackle of the exhaust and the whistling of turbochargers. Going to be a good time. So I think Kurt is ready. So I'm going to pull all these graphics down here. Check Andrew Sprock. Doing well, Mr. Sprock. I noticed you commented on the McLouth, Kansas pool, said you're going to be there. Good deal. Marty Samuelson getting close, down to 10 days. They've had 3 to 4 inches of rain the last 2 weeks, so that should help the track. Yeah, keep tabs on that weather, Marty. We want to know what's going on up there. We're hoping that last couple of years, we've had some rain up there, and one year everything got rained out. Another year, just one night got rained out. So hopefully Mother Nature will give us a break this year. Mark J. Ham, no 85 light limited pro stocks at Huron. You know what? I'm not sure. I'd have to look at that. Mark, put on my readers here, and I can tell you, I have the official schedule in front of me. No light limited pros in Huron this year. It'd be light modified, light super ag, NA two-wheel drive, super farm, and light super stock. That's the rundown for South Dakota State Fair pull as far as classes go. Well, Sprock says he's got to defend the title, so he must have won there at McLouth last year. Previously a PPL hook. I've announced at McLouth. I've run a sled at McLouth before several years ago. Pulled at McLouth myself. So really cool facility, and the fans really come out and support that event. That's a big deal there in McLouth. Mark Hammer, how loud the crowd got. South Dakota, Jared Hagan had taken the win last time. We'll have to twist their arm a little bit, see if we can get Light Limited Pro in there in 2026, Mark. But without further ado here, I'm going to bring on Curt Ulmer. Curt, how's it going?
Hey, Ron. Well, going good. We had a couple days of nice rain that we really needed, and waiting for the sun to come out and get some corn sprayed and stuff like that.
How many acres do you farm up there?
Well, I'm kind of getting to be retirement. My wife and me, we farm 600, and then we rent the rest of our ground out to our grandson and son-in-law.
Okay. Now you're in Minnow, right?
Yep.
I'm surprised that they haven't renamed that Ulmer. Just call it Ulmer, South Dakota.
I don't know. I don't know what we'd have to do for that.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of family there, right? How many Ulmers actually live in the Minnow area?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I've got Gary and Mark, my two brothers, and Alan, my nephew, and there's more Ulmers around here. Pretty prominent name in this German community, I guess you might say.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's cool that the bar there actually live streams the Outlaw events when there's Ulmers pulling. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah.
But Craig checking in, super excited to be running at McLouth again. Craig sent me some pictures today. For some reason, wasn't able to get all of them downloaded. But tell us your story. How the heck did you get into tractor pulling? How did this all start for you?
Oh my, how far back do you want to go?
As far back as we can. We want to know when the sickness began, Curt.
Well, I can remember a big event here was to go to Hinton, Iowa, in the middle part of July. And my dad, Marvin, and our local Oliver dealer, Daryl Metler, and a number of mental people, we'd always go to Hinton. I can remember going there when I was like in the 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
Okay.
And we watched diesel super stocks pull, mods pull, but Carol Youngren and maybe Phil Aylward. Those names are slipping by me. Carol Youngren is still around as much as I know. We see him in Sac City all the time.
Okay.
As a spectator. He's getting to be an old gentleman by now. But that was a big event to go to Hinton. And then, in 1971, we put our heads together and we built a tractor pull sled. And we ran that. It was called the Cannonball. And our dad was kind of the head engineer on that thing. But there was a few neighbors and us boys, we all got together and built the darn thing. And we did a lot of events with that sled.
Now the sled was the beginning. Then you started with the sled before you started pulling?
No, we had a 1950 T Oliver that we pulled at farm pulls. And my brother Mark, he's pretty good about finding, how to set the fuel up in the pump and that sort of stuff. So Dad was pretty successful with that tractor. And then we decided we were going to put a V8, a 396 Chevy into a 44 Massey Harris tractor. And that was our first mod tractor.
Okay. What size motor did you say that was?
396.
396.
Yep.
Okay. I recall Craig saying something about you had a tractor with a couple of 348s or 409s on it as well back in the day.
Yeah, it kept progressing. After the 396, then we built a chassis, built a modified chassis, and I bought a couple motors from a modified puller in Iowa. His name was Bill Knoll, and he was in the Des Moines area, and he ran an upside down F30 Farmel.
Okay.
And there was another guy from Davenport, Iowa, Lenny K. Those guys were at Clay County Fair, put on a whale of a show there with their mod tractors. And I ended up visiting with that one, Bill Knoll, and I ended up buying the two motors out of that tractor. And they were 348 cubic inch motors, but they were the forerunner of the 409.
Okay.
And he had them bored out and fixed up a little bit. They were, I think, 380 cubic inch each. And built a frame, put them two motors in, had an 88 Oliver rear end. And we ran that for several years, and then we just kept going up from there. Had a 454 and a 427 hook crank to crank, and these were carbureted motors. And then in 1976, we built our first blow-in motor with a supercharger on it.
And that was a single, right?
That was a single. That had way more get up and go than any of those twins did as they were carbureted, you know.
Right.
Way more power. And I don't know, I think it was about in 84. Then we added another blower motor. And there's some of those pictures. My wife, Barb, dug those pictures out for Craig. There's a couple pictures there of us running one motor in the light class in Iowa, the 5800. And then we added the second motor to run the 7,200 pound class. Okay, that picture you had there, that tractor, we could carry two motors in that light class. That was that had a planetary rear end in that we put together.
What year you think this was taken here?
Boy, it might be on the back of the picture, but you don't have that, do you? Just a minute. I think we've got that. Barb will go get it.
Now, Craig did mention that's the hauler in the background there, the pickup truck
Yep.
with the camper in the back and the open trailer there. That's how you rolled.
Yep, that's how we went. We went several years. We built a long trailer and put our camper on the front and put the tractor on behind. Yep. That picture there, that might have been Carroll, Nebraska. So that would have had to been like the early 90s, I'd say.
So when you first put the second blown engine on the tractor, were you crank to crank that point, or did you stair step them at that point?
No, those were stair stepped. Yes.
Okay, they were always stair step when you had the twin supercharged. Okay.
And we never had a crank to crank motor, a supercharged motor. They were always stair stepped. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now here's looks like a newspaper story on you guys there. Am I reading that right? Does it say Craig is 21 months old when this was taken?
Yep. Yep. He was born when were you born, Craig? 79? 79, or I got need her mother here to tell me when he was born. I don't remember.
But that's a pretty cool article there. Now it mentions that South Dakota SDTPA, South Dakota Tractor Pulling Association.
Yep.
When did that start? Were you part of that as well?
Yeah, we were involved in that. There was about a dozen of us pullers in South Dakota, and yeah, we held various positions on the board and stuff like that, and we would have about 10 to 12 sanctioned events in a season. You know, we went to Sioux Falls, like the Sioux Empire Fair, State Fair at Huron. We were up at Aberdeen. We were at several small towns. Our hometown of Mennel had a pull for several years. Like Gary Whiff, he was one of the early guys that belonged to this association. There was a couple Moline tractors out of Brandon, South Dakota. There were some Alice Chalmers out of Lennox, South Dakota. Cliff Foss from Sioux Falls, he ran a 4010 John Deere. And Cliff's brother, Joe Foss, was governor of the state of South Dakota back in the 50s, I believe. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's another picture here. Just kind of the back half here. I can't tell if maybe you are running two engines here. Can you tell?
I cannot tell on that one. I don't know.
I think Craig had that picture.
And then you were mentioning some names there. Craig sent me some of this as well, just because it was interesting to see some of the names on here. That we're all familiar with, a lot of us are familiar with here.
Yeah, we pulled against like Bob Chickering, Jerry Fornash, Wayne Longnecker, Ron Headley.
The clerks there out of Illinois. Vern Huser's on the list there.
Vern Huser. Chuck Wheatley would have been around in those days. I don't know if he's on this list or not.
John Killian out of Houstonia, Missouri.
Yeah, I remember the name. I don't remember knowing him. John McManus from Illinois. He ran hard. Emil Murda, what a character. Oh, man. Yeah.
I see Mike Miller on the list there too.
It's Mike Miller out of Illinois.
Yeah. So interesting to see these. Sometimes folks will post these up online, and it's interesting to look at them and just see some of the names on those lists. A lot of pulling legends out there.
Yeah.
Now here's when did you add the third engine? About what year did that take place?
2002, I think.
Okay, and this is 2002. Now, in that time, at one point, you chased points with NTPA. What years did that take place?
We chased points a few years. We competed up in Region 3, Minnesota, Wisconsin, a little bit in Iowa, northern Iowa, but mainly Minnesota and Wisconsin. And God, we went to the Interley pull-off, I think in 2004, I think. Craig knows those dates way better than I do. But we competed against
Doc Christensen.
Yeah, Doc Christensen all the time. Jack Kilmeyer. Kilmeyer, he ran a pair of Hemis, and he had 26 wins in a row. And we were up at that Labor Day pull just into Wisconsin.
Not Toma.
Not Toma, no. No. The people sat on a big hillside, and we took him out that night. We ended his win streak. And that's when the points started to accumulate for the Interley shootout out there in Illinois. And that gave us a good start for the next summer. And we ended up coming in first or second in the points in Region 3 that following year. And then we were invited out to the Interley pull-off. One of our highlights of our career, I guess.
That's awesome.
But when you compete against guys like Jack Kilmeyer, Ridgeland, Wisconsin, that's where we beat Jack. When you pull against those good guys, it makes you a better puller.
Yeah.
And we we finally got our poop in a group, and we started doing some winning against those guys. Yeah.
Russ Dostal has a question. As he's asking if you remember Kennard Leg Band.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Said
And
he's part of his group for pulling.
his wife Sandy. Yep, we knew them folk. Well, Sandy, she's still alive. Kennard got killed in an accident on Interstate 80. Oh, between Des Moines and 680, you know, the turnoff on the west end there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, he got killed in an accident there. But Ken, he was an old Allison guy.
Robert Miner wants to know if you pulled in Canton. Said there was a Tri-States Association. Lenny Block said he sold you a rear end out of the Midnight Mistress.
Boy, I don't remember pulling in Canton. If we did, it was not. Oh, that was with the Tri-States Association. No, I don't remember pulling in Canton.
Dick Blankenspore, I think this was a little bit ago. We were showing some of those old pictures. Says he remembers that Massey.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sure Blankenspores would. They're old pulling names. Yeah. We used to take the cannonball over into that Blankenspore country, you know, Rock Valley, Beaver Creek, Minnesota, Inwood. Oh, we just go from one town to the next, and every night we'd have between 100 and 125 tractors.
Wow.
And about 85 of them or 90 of them were always red, you know, 806s, 856s, 1256s, and they all ran pretty good. You know,
good old days for sure.
Yeah, we met a lot of people.
Let's see. I'm going to play some video here.
Okay.
Give me a minute here to. Well.
Do you want me to let this down?
So you don't look down.
Oh. Okay. Try that.
Well, I had a video queued up here, but it's being elusive here.
Time points champion just a few years back, Kurt Ulmer in Sweet Pain.
Yeah, the video for when the smoke clears, it's not in my queue here for some reason, but we'll be running that on Facebook and social media out there all this week. It was in the queue here, not sure where it went, but we will be running that all this week.
Do you know where was that pass recorded at?
The one I just showed, that was down in Lufkin, Texas, last October.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, that was
right side kind of hurt him there. It was 45. Time points champion just a few years back, Kurt Ulmer in Sweet Pain.
That wasn't too bad a hook we had there.
No, that was a pretty good one. That track can be a little tricky.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was that pull just keeps getting better, Kurt.
Yes, it does. Yes,
they just keep packing people in there, and they keep putting more stands up, and more people keep coming. So that's turning into a pretty big deal down there. Craig says, I remember Dad making test hooks with Sweet Pain hooked to the cannonball right on the farm. So That's pretty convenient to have your own test sled right there.
Yeah.
Who drove the sled and who drove the tractor? That's the question.
Oh, I imagine our dad was on the sled, Marvin,
Before we didn't have a rider.
the sweet and a tractor in those times was probably me driving a tractor. Yeah.
The sled didn't have a rider.
Right.
Wow.
Timmy
There was
McCall. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kurt.
Oh, there was the earlier part of our cannonball history was we actually didn't have a guy on the sled a lot of times. We just put it in gear and let it go down the track. But then in later years, we rode it all the time.
Yeah, that was pretty much par for the course back then. You know, most of the sleds didn't have a rider, and then there was it early '80s that kind of started. I'm not sure exactly when, but when you started seeing the riders, and it didn't always look the safest where the riders were sitting either, to be honest. But sometimes
That's
on
right.
a little old seat right out in front of those duels, you know.
That's right, on one side. Yeah, that's where we sat.
It always made me a little bit nervous watching that. But Timmy Mikowski checking in says he's really enjoying the interview with Kurt. Says you and your family are a class act. Said these are the good old days for sure. Always enjoy visiting with you guys at the pools. So,
yep. Well, we enjoy visiting too, Tim. So keep coming by.
Marty Shirley, we will see you in Ravenna. I think so. I think the plan is you guys are going to Ravenna. I wouldn't think.
Well, we sure plan on it. We haven't started the motors yet. They're all in the tractor. We're waiting for a couple pieces from Larry Peterson for our profab. And we got to put our planetaries together. But what I'm talking, once we get the parts, it's just a good evening and we'll have that stuff all put in. So, yeah, we plan on being there.
Tori Ulmer is checking in. I assume you know Tori. When did the tractor become called Sweet Pain? In 2002 when the third motor got added? She's asking.
No, it was back in about 1976.
No, it was maybe early 80s.
Early 80s. My wife says the early 80s. Yeah, if I remember right, we had a little bit of a naming contest amongst the family.
Yeah.
And somebody came up with this name, Sweet Pain, and I don't know. I've been calling
from a record of the album.
Oh, it was from a record or an album. I mean, I've called my wife a Sweet Pain ever since I've known her. So I just moved over to the tractor.
It seems like she's got everything squared away over there. If maybe we should be interviewing her too.
Well, I think we should. She's sitting right here. She's just chicken.
Yeah. Ron is his name. Ron.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ron.
I'm the sweet and Kurt's the pain. That's where we got.
There you got it. See, she's got it right now.
Yep. Yep.
Craig is checking in here again. Says amongst the old names on that list, that was at the UNI Dome. Said that you also ran at the Minnesota Vikings Metrodome, and he was upset they wouldn't let him down on the floor.
Well, probably could barely walk.
So pulling in places like that, and some of the events you've already named off here. What's the most memorable? I know you mentioned the Endurley pull-off. Well, is that your most memorable hook ever, or is there another one out there that stands out in your mind?
Well, I tell you, there's a lot of them, I guess. 2 years ago, we had a little deal I'm kind of proud of, I guess. We pulled at Sac City, Iowa, and Ty drove that night, grandson, and got a win that night. And then we traveled over to Wayne, Nebraska, and that's getting to be quite a pull there.
Yeah.
And Craig ran that second night and he got a win. So the third night we were going back into Missouri. We went down to
Platte City,
Warrensburg.
Warrensburg. Okay.
Yeah. And the boys, they kept after me. This is, Dad, Grandpa, you're going to drive tonight. I says, I don't have to drive. You guys are doing really good. No, we want you to drive. So by golly, I got in the seat and drove, and I got a win too. So we had 3 generations winning that weekend.
Oh, that's awesome.
To me, that's kind of special.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
What year was that?
I think that was 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. I recall, I think this was probably 2018, maybe. I think I was announcing in Montgomery City or Troy. I can't remember which one. It was Ty's first time.
Troy. That would have been Troy, Missouri. Yeah.
He was 16. He was the first hook.
Yeah.
And he went out there and went out of bounds, but being the first hook, you could drop that. So he dropped it. He came back and redeemed himself on the first time pulling, and he won the thing. That had to be pretty memorable.
It was.
His grandfather.
There's a little more to that story. You know, Ty's first night to drive, and of course, Grandpa was a little nervous, but I told Ty, I says, you know, Ty, when you push that throttle ahead, I says, them motors really come to life. Oh, sure, Grandpa. Oh, yeah, no big deal. No, I said, Ty, you're not hearing me. I said, all hell breaks loose when you push that throttle ahead. Okay. So he goes out there, he doesn't make 125 feet, and he's got the sled and the tractor all on the white line, you know. And so Craig and me, we decided, well, we're going to come back right away. And then we parked him on that side that he went out of bounds on and kind of aimed him across the track a little bit.
Yeah.
If he didn't lay down a beautiful hook and win it that night. So, yeah, that was quite memorable.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I think all of you, the whole family was a little bit nervous that night.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I remember chatting with y'all after, and I saw you all where you all were at in a group over there, and I could tell, you know, Mom was nervous and everybody was pretty nervous, but yeah, that was pretty memorable. I would say. Danny Graven says, did you ever pull in Ames, Iowa, Hilton indoors?
I was at Ames, Iowa back in the mid-late 70s, I think. Yes. That was an indoor event.
And of course, Ivy checking in said, just a little bit. Yeah, I think she was a little bit nervous.
Just a little bit nervous.
Yeah. She lost a shoe somewhere. She wasn't even thinking. She was excited and nervous and lost her shoe.
Oh. Yeah.
Craig wants to know how you sharpen your tires. Back in the day.
Oh man, yeah, we tried all kinds of stuff, but we had a county blacktop road out in front of our farm, and
Where you grew up.
That's the farm we grew up. My brother Mark's got that farm now. Anyhow, if we go north out of our driveway about, I don't know, a real short quarter mile, the neighbor's driveway was located there. So we started up the tractor. We put a bigger tractor on front of it, and we put the tractor put Sweet Pain in reverse, and we'd pull it down the blacktop road and spin the tires backwards, and it would sharpen the bars, take the backs of the bars off. We had 2 30-inch wide tracks going down that road, you know, from one driveway to the next. It worked pretty good.
Too bad you don't have some video of that. That would be cool to see.
If we had video of that, we'd probably end up in jail or something. I don't know.
Fukerberg checking in. Of course, that's Doug Voth there. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
So, do you guys run the Chevys? And, you know, everybody is switching to, I guess, maybe the easiest way, maybe what they feel is the most logical way to go to 2 Hemis and save that weight for movable weight. you guys, is it kind of a pride thing to stick with the Chevys here, or do you guys know something we don't know about technology? I mean, what gives here? What's the attachment to the Chevys?
You know, hey, that's all we know. Well, yeah, we're kind of attached to Chevrolets. We don't tell our Hemi friends how many Hemi parts we've got in them Chevrolets, but but yeah, we're, as long as the rules stay like they are, and we can carry the weight of that extra motor like we are, we're just gonna keep working on them Chevys and make our Hemi friends run just as hard as they can to keep up with us. That's kind of our motto.
Well, you know, I say it at every event where the mod class is and you guys are pulling is, I would put your tractor against any 3-engine wedge motor tractor in the country. I think you guys are at the top of your game as far as how you make those Chevys run. I just feel that nobody could get close to you in a similar combination out there in the country.
Well, we appreciate that, Ron. That's a big compliment. You know, I've got Craig and Ty. They tune those motors. I have nothing to do with that anymore. But we try to get a lot out of them, you know, and try to do it in a way that they live, that we aren't fixing on them all the time. And
Yeah.
we've been fairly successful with that. So
on average, I mean, you know, how many engines do you lose in a season? 1 or 2, 3?
well, on an average, I'd have to say 0. We haven't broke a motor in it's been a while.
So
Not that it isn't going to happen
don't jinx
th-
this.
this
Yeah.
summer, but I
I'm
mean,
not
we do.
worried.
There you go. We do a lot of maintenance, preventive maintenance. You know, looking for problems before they happen.
Yeah.
And I attribute that to a lot of our success, because if we see bearing material in an oil filter, the oil pan will come off, and we will find the bearing that's going out. But in the last 3 years, I don't think we've had an oil pan off for that reason during the season. So,
And you're not very merciful on the engines either. So that's,
well, that depends who drives. I don't drive near as hard as my boys do. Yeah.
Somebody's checking in here saying that that's your brother. That's their brother there.
Yeah, it's my little sister. Yeah. Yeah.
Craig Ulmer's talking about the cannonball sled that you ran. How long did you run that sled for?
I think we ran that for about 14 years.
Any idea where that ended up? Is it still out there?
It ended up west of us in Nebraska is where it ended up going. And I think it still does a pull or two in that local area, farm stuff. But I can't answer that for sure, Ron.
Yeah, how did you like that experience of running a sled? There's a lot of work there.
Oh, in 1976, the centennial year, we did 75 tractor pulls with that sled. And that was from Lincoln, Nebraska to here in Aberdeen, South Dakota to Spencer, Iowa. We were on the list of NTPA approved sleds for a couple of years with that old girl.
Yeah, those older sleds, you know, I ran a sled for a few years and it was a lot of work. I'll tell you that. It was a lot of work. Always, like I was always working on the thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But most memorable hook or wildest ride, let's say that your wildest ride that imprinted on your brain that you'll always remember.
Oh,
we lost the tractor in Nebraska.
Well, one of the wildest rides actually didn't involve being hooked to a sled. my wife and me, we were coming back from a pull in Nebraska, and we had a chain that broke or unhooked or something on the front of the tractor. It was an open trailer, and the tractor rolled off the back going down the highway about 60 mile an hour.
Oof.
And I felt it go off, and it was like 11, 12 o'clock at night, and we couldn't find the tractor. We looked for it in the dark, and there was a railroad track beside the road. This was southeast of Wisner, down in that country someplace. And we ended up getting a hotel. And the next morning when the sun came out, we went back to the accident site, and we found the tractor. Went over that railroad embankment and landed on the other side. We couldn't see it in the dark. There were weeds about 8-10 feet high all around it. And we hired a guy with a payloader, and he went in there and he got it out for us. Luckily, it didn't really hurt the tractor.
Wow.
That was the wildest ride that tractor ever took.
That is interesting. That's crazy.
Oh, you don't want to go through that again. As far as being hooked to the sled, there was a video on, I think it was at Iowa State Fair, and that track was so hard and dry and ugly to pull on for many years, and we really lightened up the front end. And I think Craig was driving it. Half the time he couldn't see where he was going, and he went from one side of the track to the other side of the track, and we ended up winning that thing, I believe, that night. But that was a crazy ride.
Was there ever a season when nothing was going right, and you actually, thought, this tractor pulling's for the birds, we're going to give it up? Did that ever happen? Did that thought ever come to mind?
Oh yeah, we've had a couple of those years.
That tractor pull, we had about 5 flat tires before we got down there.
Yeah, we went to a pull in like Atkinson, Nebraska one weekend, and we blew out 3 or 4 tires on our trailer before we got to the pull.
Nice.
And we had to have somebody else come get the tractor and haul it in there. We had changed the tires on our trailer. Our local tire dealer had a deal on some used tires. The tires were like new, but those tires were junk, but as far as giving up the ghost, that one summer we went down, that was a pull in Iowa along Interstate 80. I can't remember the name of that town. We met Doc Christensen down there. We pulled there. We had a brand new motor in it, in the tractor. And then we loaded up in his semi, and we went back to Wisconsin, and we pulled up there. And I won the pull, but it rained out. It rained the event out, and they wouldn't pay me because it rained before the whole pull was over. Our class was done, but they wouldn't pay me. So then we loaded back up, went back to Iowa, and pulled again that next night. And I broke the rear end of the tractor, and we hurt a motor. So I think we drove 1,100 miles, broke a motor, broke a rear end, won a class, didn't get paid, came home with $0. And that's something like that. You kind of feel like hang your cap on a hook and say, next year.
Craig says in 2011,
Ooh.
built 7 engines for the season, won the championship. Said you really concentrated on reliability after that.
Yeah. I remember it was getting late in the season there. It was in September. And of course we had quite a bit of livestock, so we were cutting silage. And in the evening when we parked the cutter, I was putting a motor together for the next day,
Yeah.
But yeah, we went through a bunch of parts that year. Yeah, our motor program has improved considerably since that time. Yeah.
we're going to start winding down here, Kurt. I just want to give you an opportunity here. If you would like to thank anybody that's helped you and your team along the way, it could be sponsors, it could be friends, family. But I'm just going to give you the floor here to say thanks to whoever you'd like to say thanks to.
Well, we'd like to give a big thank you to Richard's Repair in Larchwood, Iowa. They've come on as a sponsor for us, and they really help us out when we need help. They run a truck repair shop, truck and payloader and heavy equipment they work on. And that's Craig's hometown, and those people there treat us like family. We've surrounded ourselves, our family, Craig and Ty and me, with some super good machine shops that do our cylinder head work, do our crankshaft work. You just hook up with the right people, and success is around the corner.
You can thank the women.
So we've got some good wives that put up with all of this. My wife Barb, Craig's wife Ivy. There's a lot of stuff, like anniversaries and family reunions sometimes get put on the back burner because we're either busy putting something together or we got to leave to go someplace. So
it seems like it's a family affair for sure, though, when we see you at the pulls. I mean, it seems like everybody's there, so it sounds like the whole family is heavily involved in the pulling thing.
It has to be that way, otherwise it's not going to work.
To begin with, the girls came.
Over the years, I wonder how many guys have come and gone in this pulling sport. Mainly a lot of times because it wasn't a family deal.
Right.
That's the only way it'll work.
I would say, probably more often than not, that's probably the issue with not hanging around, because as well as I do, once you get this pulling sickness in your blood, it doesn't go away very easily. So, it's there for life, I think. So if someone's not pulling anymore, I don't think it's because they don't want to. I think it's just because it doesn't work, for their situation. But you guys have a great family, Kurt. I enjoy talking to all of you at the pulls, and Craig and I, we both enjoy the mechanical part of pulling, the engines and things like that. We're always sending pictures back and forth of wild engine combinations and things all the time, but always enjoy chatting with you guys, and love it that you're sticking with the Chevys.
Well, we've been blessed, no doubt. And this outlaw group that we got involved with several years ago, and still heavily involved with them. Now that's a family to behold. We've got good friends from Texas to Iowa to Illinois to Canada. All over. It's unreal. And
I love that about the Outlaws too. That's it is a family atmosphere. After the pull, during the pull, in the staging area, you see competitors helping each other. Someone's having a problem, and then everybody's might be having an adult beverage after and eating some barbecue or something, and it's very family friendly, and and I've had other pullers come from other organizations to come over and just hang with us a few times and pull with us, and they're like, this is really cool. It's not like this where I'm from. It's not as friendly before, during, and after.
So that line that's on the screen right now, that from Angela, that's her oldest daughter, and she grew up pulling. Her and her two sisters, and then Craig came along, but they went with us all the time.
Riding in the back of a pickup.
So one other thing I wanted to comment on, Ron, the things you learn when you get out of South Dakota and you get down towards Texas, George Neves has given me a broader education on what a Yank is, and goes back to the Civil War. Those guys.
Yeah.
It's unreal. If you're north of Plainview, Texas, you're a damn Yank. I never knew that till I met George.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now the lady to your, is she to your right or your left there? I can't tell, but
She's to my right. Slide over here, Mark.
now how did you guys meet? Because there's another picture that Craig sent that she's driving about a 74 or 75 Dodge pickup at a pull.
Yeah. We
Tell us about that.
We'd go to the tractor pull with that pickup and pulling a trailer with the tractor on it.
That was our hometown pull, and we had a 4-wheel drive pickup class, I guess.
Yeah.
So I put Barb in there and see what she could do.
And then one year I get disqualified because my hitch is too high or too?
Yeah, you had your hitch up a little too high.
Well, you didn't set it up right. And then this one guy had the same kind of pickup I did, and for years he'd always beat me. And then one year, so quite a few years after that, we went with him. We went out to Tomah, Wisconsin to the tractor pull. And in that trip, we found out he had a different cam in his pickup. He was kind of cheating.
Oh, not really.
Not really?
Yeah. No, he just had a better combination than you did.
Whatever. Secrets came out that weekend.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I appreciate you guys so much. This has been an awesome interview here. Be watching for the video. It'll be running this week, When the Smoke Clears. That's showcasing the Sweet Pain team and the tractor. And good luck in 2025. It's going to be an awesome year. I think there's going to be a lot of mod tractors out there pulling with the Outlaws this year.
It is. It's going to be quite a season. Yes. Well, we hope we're ready for them.
Be safe and chain that thing down good. Put an extra chain on that thing.
Yeah.
All right, Ron. Good talking.
Thank you guys so much. Have a great night.
Yep.
Thanks. You too.
Bye.
Awesome interview there. Some pulling history there. Going back, love to see those old pictures. I wish all those pictures would have came through. For some reason, several of them didn't download. But some awesome pulling history. Great pulling family there. Man, that just makes me more excited for Ravenna. I can't wait to get out there and hear those modified tractors ripping down the track here in 10 days. 10 days, folks. Put it on your calendar if you haven't yet. Keep that weekend open. Ravenna, Nebraska, Anavar Park, 6th and 7th of June, a week from Friday and a week from this Saturday. So hope to see everybody out there. Thanks so much for watching the show. Remember, pullers, the app is open for signups for Ravenna. Get signed in, save a little time and a little headache when you get there from standing in line and doing all that signing in stuff. So we will see you all in Ravenna, Nebraska. I'll see y'all next Tuesday night, the week of. Going to try to get Adam Summerlot from Case IH on here and try to get the guys from Ravenna on the show as well. So see y'all next Tuesday night on Outlawed Live.
Time points champion just a few years back, Kurt Ulmer, Sweet Pain.